My aim is to empower business-minded individuals, salespeople, leaders, owners to tap into more of their own agency and their personal leadership, and through that increased agency, unlock their untapped potential. Most of our beliefs were formed before we turned 10 years old. You may have heard the saying, you are what you were when you were 10. To understand this, think about the events and influences shaping our early years. This reflects the fact that much of our foundational conditioning happens between ages 0 and 7. Understanding this is important because as you work to break through perceived upper limits and elevate your life, you'll often find that resistance has roots in that early conditioning. By the time most people reach 30 and then on through 50 years of age, they've developed routines, living largely on autopilot, out of habit, repeating the past, living the past over and over, while at the same time yearning for a different future. Imagine if there were a button that you could press to reset that early conditioning to better serve the life you're living now, or better yet, the life you dream of creating. The work we're doing together is that reset button. Essentially, my response had to do with the fact that first we have to access our agency. I think people always have the agency. The question is whether or not we access it, right? We always have our potential, but do we access it? And in order to access that agency, I say we have to have personal leadership, right? We have to make that choice that we're going to lead our lives. And then through that choice, we can then do the things necessary to have agency. And from that point of agency, then presented with the references, we can decide whether or not we want to change our behavior, whether or not we want to change our values. And that was the specific point, I think, in the post. So the work I do is to give you that agency. But if you start with purpose and you make the purpose bigger than yourself and you accept the fact that you will do the inner work necessary to meet that purpose, then it takes that whole pot of spaghetti and makes it irrelevant because we're starting from post that. So what that has to do with this is if you believe that your subconscious stimulus reaction, if you believe that that's your being, that's who you are, then you will double down on these things that it caused you to say or decide or do. And this will save you so much trouble in life, because who wants to spend their life defending something that came out of conditioning that happened 40 years ago? So that's why I say you are not your behaviors. Your behaviors may form your personality, but as you become a different being, your behaviors will change and your personality will then change. So I talked about last week that we should come up with a belief that's kind of minor and one that's been holding you back, the ones that's been getting in your way, and we're going to do something with it, because we started talking about the power of words. Belief is way over here on the continuum or on the path, and it's impacting condition, and it's your conditioning. So if we come way back to the beginning and we're talking about belief way over here, you can see why I'm starting with belief. And this is why once you do this work, awareness alone can be enough to make the shift, because you're now doing it with agency. Imagine that you have this belief, and I want you to frame it up. I want you to put it into a statement that it's something that when I do this, this happens, or when I want to do this, or I take steps to do that, something happens, or I'm prevented from doing it, or there's something external that happens. Whatever that belief is, I just want you to have that kind of a statement, but nothing major, nothing existential, just something minor. So now you have that sentence in your mind, or make a note of it. I want you to imagine that you're walking into a movie theater. And as you walk into the movie theater, you notice that the screen is on your right. There's a projection booth up there on the left, but nobody's in the theater. So you don't know what this is about. So you go and sit in the center of the movie theater, right in the center, and you're looking at the screen, and the screen is blank. And then you get an instruction that says to float out of yourself, leave yourself there in the center of the movie theater, and float out of yourself and float up into the projection booth and wait for instructions. So now you go up to the projection booth and you're watching yourself watch the screen. Watching yourself watch the screen. And then you get the instruction to turn on the projector. And the projector says this is going to be your life, and you are going to start running through your life.